I actually think one of the most dramatic examples of that are people who gave their kids 5 vaccine shots before they started pre-K. They had 5, 6 vaccinations before they were allowed to start school. You could talk about guys in the Army and women in the Army who have like 18, 19 vaccinations, so like anthrax, like really tough vaccinations. And then you talk to them, and I talk to friends, I talk to former business partners, I talk to everybody, and they have a completely different worldview that is completely isolated from fact. They argue things that they picked up on the internet, and you're exactly right. They'll go, well, you know, Joe, I don't watch news anymore because you just don't know what's true and what's not true. I say, yeah, but you do go to websites that are run by Chinese cults, and you do go to Facebook pages that people just make up whole cloth. And that's your new news source. And as I say repeatedly to them, read the Wall Street Journal. Like the Wall Street Journal news section, it's great reporters, and it's Murdoch's newspaper. And they're, I just don't know. I said, oh, so you think Murdoch is involved in the deep state, that he's a left-wing socialist? And it just comes down to what the woman said. They just want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to be bothered with the facts. They don't want to be bothered with the truth. They want to stay in a bubble, have people lie to them. They want to repeat those lies, and they want to be separated from fact. What do you do with that? That's a great question, but I will tell you, I have calmly and patiently sat there and talked to them. I've calmly and patiently sent email after email after email to them, not judgmentally, in love, because I love these people. And I will tell you, I've made about as much progress as I would make if I ran into the center of the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line. No progress at all.
None.
Yeah, well, that's the key point, is that it's willful. And this is an ongoing conversation you and I have had on and off the air, which is that people we know and love, people who are really smart, who I respect a lot, and you'll be in a conversation with them, and I'll say, wait, stop for a second. Do you really think that China sent ballots to Arizona? Do you think that the cyber ninjas should be in there seizing election materials and going through them to look for traces of bamboo? And they'll go, well, maybe not that, but, and then there's always a but. And they've heard something somewhere, they've picked up a kernel, but they're smart enough to know the difference. There's a willfulness there. As you said, there's something they want to believe. So all they need is one little bit of information to cling onto. You know, leading up to right after the election, I had a very, very smart person I know ask me why we weren't covering the Italian satellite story, which is that a satellite, something in Italy, a satellite manipulated the Dominion voting machines and changed the votes from Trump to Biden. What do you do with that when someone you know, love, and respect looks you in the eye and asks you that in all sincerity? But that's where we are.
Well, you know what I kept hearing about is I kept hearing about the fact that there were those 2 women in Georgia, and they said there are these 2 women in Georgia, and they picked up suitcases of ballots, and and you said, well, no, hold on, let me check. Google it. And then you see the fact checked across about 10 different news organizations that clearly show what happens, that clearly describes what happens. And I just start forwarding it to them, and they read it and they understand it's a lie. But what do they say? Oh, you can't trust these people. You can't trust them. I mean, because there was this fact checker, and then they'll pick a fact check from 2 years ago that was wrong. And so they'll stay very comfortable in their world of lies.
Yes.
What is fascinating, though, and this is a development, there are people who are starting to pay for those lies. The 2 women that we've talked about
Freeman
here, and I think we had them on the show here, they're going to win lawsuits They were lied about. They were slandered about. You look at what happened with the InfoWars guy. He's going to be chased for the rest of his life to pay back lies that he told.
Kanye being
and I was going to say, and now Kanye West is going out talking about George Floyd being on fentanyl. I guess people thought, Willie, in the age of Trump, that they could say whatever they wanted to say. They could spread whatever lies they wanted to spread. They could spread whatever conspiracy theories they wanted to spread. And they could get away with it. Well, guess what? They can't. Because juries in Connecticut are saying you can't. Juries in Texas are going, no way. Dominion voting machines, they have lawsuits against one media outlet after another media outlet after another media outlet who's worked overtime to destroy their lives. And I know this because I know people that run elections in counties, and they have received threats for using Dominion voting machines, and they don't even use Dominion voting machines. So this toxicity, it comes with a price. And the price is not only to our democracy, it's coming to the people who are spreading the lies. It seems that justice, Willie, is finally being served.
Well, they've watched Donald Trump get away with all of it, and they've watched it be effective for him anyway to ascend to heights of power. But it turns out that's not transferable to everyone. So if you go out and say defamatory things, repugnant things on a podcast or on TV, it feels like cheap rhetoric. It feels like something to get numbers and ratings. But now it turns out there is a cost, and maybe it will deter people down the road. But as you say, there were real world consequences. Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss were threatened. They had people come to their houses. Those are the two election workers in Georgia we're talking about. People came into their houses and threatened them because of this video that was perpetuated online. Turned out it was nothing. There were two people who stepped up and volunteered to help. This has real world implications. When the InfoWar guys talks on his podcast about Sandy Hook, those families grieving the deaths of their first graders, the 6-year-olds, they're chased all over the country. They have to move. They have to, it's real. So it feels cheap. It's a way to get numbers. It's a way to get ratings for the people who use this kind of rhetoric. But it has real world consequences. And now, as you say, the people who say those things have to face the music.
They have real world consequences, and that's what I just want to urge people that are listening to these lies. Understand, have some compassion for the victims, whether it's in Georgia, whether it's a family. Donald Trump, the lies that he told about me being a murderer.
It's very painful for people involved.
The impact, not painful for me, not painful for my family. They know who I am, but painful for the family who's been grieving for 20 years. And Lori's husband actually writes the President of the United States and begs him to stop bringing pain to him and his family and her family. He continues doing that. We talk about the InfoWars guy. Those lies. Again, you're going after broken people. Those parents have to bury their 6-year-old children in a way. It just strikes me as the most heinous thing in the world that could ever happen to parents of 6-year-olds. And then their children's graves are urinated on. And then their families have to flee because these conspiracy theories that our friends and our family members read and think there are no consequences, they have the gravest of consequences. And they're people that are suffering because rich, powerful millionaires and billionaires from Ivy League schools are trying to seize power by spreading conspiracy theories on the poorest people, the most broken people, those who are grieving the loss of their children, those who are grieving the loss of their daughters, those who just wanted to participate in American democracy and help out. You know what word that is? I get a word. It's deplorable. The word fits. It's deplorable. It's contemptible.